we're going to stop that. And we'll get all of the stuff that we have. We'll get Alan back.
Hi, I'm Barb Woodruff. I live in Monroe. I was in Israel in 1981, right after the Camp David Peace Accord. It was a wonderful time. Rabbi Ken Roseman led our trip. There was a meeting of rabbis over in Egypt and Israel. Having come from Egypt and been exploring and touring there, I did get kind of sick, and so I didn't get to see quite as much or remember as much of Israel as I wanted to. And I've always wanted to go on a trip led by you, Rabbi, and the time came about.
Yep.
I'm really glad it's going.
I'm Patricia Litcher, and this will be my third trip to Israel, all 3 times with the rabbi, and that's why I'm coming back again, because I want to go with the rabbi, and I'm excited that the cantor is going, and this is a great trip. And to add to it, I have a bum leg, so I think I'm going to be doing things on my own and maybe with another person, and the talk about security got me a little scared. So I hope I can do things on my own. So.
But can I just say something very quickly? Patricia presented me with a knitted pair of socks, which were roomies over in Israel on this trip.
And they're Israeli colors.
Yeah.
They look a little warm for the weather.
Barb's always cold. I want to Eastern Europe with this. Always cold.
You can both room together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sensibility. The last couple trips, it was spring of 2019, when a group of, I don't remember how many exactly, 17 or 18 of us did Europe together. I'm Jonathan Veitch, and I really excited about taking this group. It's a wonderfully sized group. It's greatly compatible. I'm looking forward to really getting to know you more, those whom I don't know, and those who I do know, I can get to know more as well. I'm very excited, and I love to share Israel with people because I love Israel, sometimes irrespective of politics, irrespective of Hamatzah situation. That there's something magnetic. I've lived in Israel 2 years at 2 different times, in addition to numerous visits, and I really love the country. So
I'm Jacob Jamie Cantor. Actually been about 9 years since I've been to Israel. I also did a year of study there as part of my cantorial training, and absolutely loved my time there, especially getting to spend a long duration of time and kind of move there. I'm so looking forward to going back, so looking forward to better that I don't know quite as well, and getting to know those who I do know even more deeply along this trip, and to be able to experience Israel together in a way that helps to deepen our relationship with that place in a real way, in a way that's true to ourselves and our values as beings and as Jews, progressive, but way that is deep and familial, because that is certainly the relationship that I feel with that place. It's familial, and as Rabbi mentioned, sometimes familial doesn't always mean harmonious, but it still is a connection. So I'm looking forward to hearing that, all of its complexity.
So now that we all know each other intimately, we wanted to offer one other way of getting to know you. After or before we all start this journey, and some of you will see once only we get to Israel, each of you will be getting a copy, each household will be getting a copy of this book, Israel, a Spiritual Travel Guide. For those of you who are here tonight, we have one for you. For those of you who aren't here tonight, we'll make arrangements to somehow get them to you. We'll get it to you. It may be on the day we arrive in Israel, God willing, it's before. But this is a book which is really a tremendous book. You should look through it. It has 18-day sort of meditations and preparation for your visit So about 18 days before your trip, you can begin to get thinking about Israel and what all that's about. It has descriptions of certain places in Israel, which we will visit, and give you a little bit of background. But overall, it's interesting because the author of this book, whose name is Rabbi Lawrence Hoffman, a former professor at Hebrew Union College in New York, he might be still adjunct on the faculty. I'm not
It does a little bit, but it's definitely taking steps back. I will say everybody there has like the affection for him.
tremendous man. And he has a Madison connection, and he actually came to Temple. He has come to Temple during the summer. He's here doing a study or something. Sometimes he drops in. Anyway, one of the things that he writes, a thought about the Western Wall. You know, we have our disputes about worship and the Western Wall, and I don't want to go there for the moment. We have plenty of time to talk about that once we get to Israel. But the Western Wall, of course, is the one retaining wall from the ancient Israelite temple, which was destroyed by Rome the year 66 to 70, the Common Era. And it has been the custom, certainly ever since the reunification of Jerusalem, for people to go to the wall, to go to the Western Wall, and to place a small little slip of paper into the wall with a prayer. And some people are sent by people in foreign countries to do it for them. And then they're given some money in order to guarantee a safe journey, because one's giving of tzedakah ensures, according to our tradition, you'll have safety on your. But I wanted to share with you a reading. For those of you here in the room, you have it on the agenda paper that I handed out to you. It's on page 57 of this book, but you'll again, when you see the book, you'll see it. But I wanted to share with you this meditation. For those of you online, I'm going to be putting it in the chat. You can actually see it. It's there in the chat now. I'd like to read it aloud and then to get your reaction. When I read this, I said to myself that this is not only talking about going to the Kotel, going to the Western Wall, placing a prayer in it. It is also going to the wall in order to be an emissary for people who can't travel, who don't travel to Israel. That's one of my takes. Others of us may have other takes about what this is possible. So I'm going to read this aloud. Please read it along with me. Hold on for a second. I'm waiting to get in. So I'm going to post this again in the chat because I don't think that our newcomers can be able to see this. We'll wait till they sign on their audio. Good evening, friends. How are you?
Good. How are you? Hello,
Good.
everyone.
Do we get to see it tonight?
Sure. Let's see if I can find
Okay. You want to tell us who you are? We've just finished introduction, so you're really at the tail end of that. Tell us who you are so we can begin to put faces together.
Hi, my name is Deborah Burke. My husband isn't feeling well, so he's sleeping, but his name is Vicente. And we live here in Verona, and we're excited about this trip.
As you might be able to tell by the name, sorry, Deborah, but Deborah is Joanna Burke's daughter. And so just to give you, there's a connection. And Deborah and her husband are members of Temple, of course. So we are very happy to have you all travel with us. And I'm going to put into chat, Deborah, something that we're all going to read together. So if you want to open that up, I'm going to read this and then just offer any reactions on a personal level that you have. God, make me a messenger for those I love. Let me carry their prayers as if they were my own and leave them there softly like birds' eggs nesting the crack of a wall, waiting the time for all they contain to break out into joyous birth. God, grant me too the merits to carry the means to Israel's redemption, period, until such time as we see the end of day. God, make me a witness to history, May I revel in its glories and relieve its pains. In some small way, let this, my journey, awaken hope in those I love and those I barely know, the people among whom I walk the days ahead. And again, this is a prayer that the author of this book and Deborah, which you're going to get a copy of eventually, writes about putting notes in the western wall of the temple. But I think there's something far greater there, that even if you don't put a note in the Kotel, I think there's something about going to Israel. We who are privileged to do so, that we go not only for ourselves, but perhaps for the benefit of others as well. So I'm just wondering if there anybody would have any reaction to this. That this might say to you as different or as similar to other people.
Acknowledging that is possible. Other things are prevented.
I want to ask people to talk as loud as they feel comfortable. Make sure the folks online can hear. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I look at the words here, make me a witness to history. Maybe that's prophetic with what's going on now. History may be being made in these times. That we're at a turning point, if you will. I don't know exactly what we can do to influence history, but we're there on the ground during the crisis.
I want to speak to that specifically. We talked in some of our previous learning sessions, Hannah and Oz, about the extent so many liberal Jews in the United States don't know how to relate to Israel right now, or are struggling with how to relate to Israel right now. And there may be components of what we experience when we're present there that will give you a deeper understanding around a particular issue or a particular aspect of what's going on in Israel right now, that you might then be able to share with others. And even just that little bit, even just the casual conversation you may have with other people after your trip may help somebody else to understand in a way that might affect their relationship with Israel as well. So that witness is not just like seeing, it's sharing what you in a way that could be potentially meaningful for somebody else.
I would also add that there's something that you may or may not see on the itinerary, because we're actually adding something of our own. Doron has not yet joined us, so he doesn't know yet either. But we arrive into Tel Aviv on Tuesday, June 20th. We're having already toured 2/3 of our itinerary. And that evening, for those, we have a free evening. People may have family to visit, may have friends to visit, but if you would like to also, we may have a visit by a leader of the democracy movement who's going to come and speak with us, who's a friend of Oz, and who Oz put me in touch with. So we've arranged for him. He lives in Tel Aviv and he knows the date that we're going to be there. So we talking about being there at a time of history. Some people sometimes use the word inflection point, right? Note that. Well, our support, our merely meeting with him and his getting an audience, Jews in the diaspora, with people from the diaspora, encouraging the movement. So we are definitely going to be part of that.
First in Israel is being immersed in history, unlike many experiences that you can really have. It's the crossroads of so many cultures and how it impacted everybody's lives around the world. And so I think war as well as ancient, as well as the emperor.
Folks online, would someone want to offer something? Go for it, Lynn.
Yeah, I just wanted to get the right thing. I liked where it said, like, may I revel in its glories and relieve its pain. To know that, I mean, to acknowledge the tension that there's wonderful things and there's painful parts, as there are in any country. And I kind of want to experience both.
In a way, I feel that he's taking the idea of us taking a prayer with us for someone else, which makes us a community. Then actually expanding it that we are part of the evolution of Jews, Israel, all the way through until the Messiah arrives. So a little daunting, overwhelming, but I think he's trying to tie that.
Other comments, other thoughts? I want to then move on. We can always come back to this. And again, it'll be in the book, so you'll have it, you'll have this print when we get the book. I was wondering, I know we have some specific things that we wanted to share with you, and I'm always mindful of the time because Doron from Ayala Travel is going to join us at 8 o'clock our time. But let me ask, I'm going to take the list of things that people may want to talk about tonight and have a list, see what we had planned already to talk about, and to see what we add, and then we'll see how we do that time-wise. So are there questions or concerns right now that you all might have that we need to be taking into consideration as or that you had coming in tonight?
I have one.
Well, Phyllis was first.
Okay.
Phyllis, raise your hand, and then we'll go over to Barbara.
Yes, as you said, rice.
Yes,
What is it? Morning?
we'll get there. All right, good. Thank you for asking.
I'm wondering what size cake you're all taking. I'm doing a very honest. No. Yeah, so I kind of like to know, how you're gonna pack and what size suitcase you're taking and how much cash we should get American or how we can get Israeli money. Yeah, those are my main questions.
I'll take a few of those questions. Have what you need, because we're traveling internationally, we are allotted and then included in our tickets is a free luggage and carry-on. But just so you know, as far as I know, and that we are allotted one regular size suitcase, which can't be up to 50 pounds. And then there are dimensions that are important. We'll send them to you. If they're a normal size suitcase, it's pretty much the dimension. Fair enough. We'll give you the dimensions. As to how much money you bring, that's totally up to you. How can you get cash? There are a couple of ways to get cash. One is through ATMs that are all over the country. You may want to check with your bank where you normally have a debit card or your ATM. An ATM card, see that they're on the network. There are exchange rates, but when you get cash out of an ATM, the exchange rates are very modest. Now, there are charges for changing money over, but they're modest. It's always good to have some Israeli cash. American cash is always good too. I have to tell you that when I was last in Israel, which was back in December, and then before that in November, I did not exchange cash at all, and I just charged everything. You can charge almost anything. Charge almost anything. The markets, no. The markets, you're going to bargain in the Arab market or the Jewish markets, cash. In the Carmel market, Tel Aviv, I would have cash. Go to some of the stalls in the Jerusalem, in Machane Yehuda, for example. Some take cash, some take credit cards. Yeah, but people use credit cards, they're very fluidly. It all depends upon what your level of trust is for your credit card company, and all of that. When you are in stores buying items, be careful, make sure you pay for what you think you're paying for. You get a receipt back, check the amount. Because you're in a foreign country and they see a tourist a mile away, and you want to be sure that you pay for what you get, and that you get what you pay for. Okay? I think that was all your question. Carl? But Carl, we're not hearing you.
Shoot.
Now we can hear you.
Go for it.
Okay, so the question was, when are we going to get a final itinerary?
Thank you, good question. The final itinerary is being put together. It's very close to what is online. It has a few tweaks based upon the group that we have. In other words, we don't have any children traveling with us. So some of the children's quote unquote children's activities we've sublimated and we've taken and we've done other things with. As I mentioned, we have a number of we have this meeting democracy activists taking place. It should be available soon. That's one question we'll ask Doron. They're working on finalizing the itinerary for us. It's very close to what we have. One of the points that we are working on, just so you know, originally we were going to arrive into Israel like 5 o'clock-ish, and then get to Jerusalem and have dinner. Now we're getting to Israel, for those traveling on the big group flight, we're getting to Israel at 7 o'clock-ish. And we're getting to get to Jerusalem Hotel too late for dinner. That group dinner is planned for the next night as like a welcome dinner. But the night that we arrive, I still want people to have food. So I'm trying to arrange to have sandwiches or something at the hotel for us when we walk in the door. So just so you know that's one major change in the itinerary that is not yet reflected, I think, online, but that was our hope. And again, because the flight doesn't come in exactly when we wanted it, I don't know why we couldn't do that. I see Doron is waiting for us.
A little early.
He's a little early. Let's go on and answer any questions we have here, then we'll let Doron in.
Do we have airline tickets? Have they been distributed?
So tonight, for those of you who are here, we have a slip of paper that will tell you how to go into the reservation system and to see those who are flying on Polish Airlines, to go in and to see your reservation. We have instructions on how to do it. Please do it to make sure it works. We don't get physical tickets anymore, but you have the 6-letter number code, confirmation code, that allows you to go into your reservation online and to manipulate it.
Okay, and I might just say, for the roster that you distribute,
Yes.
my email on there is ancient.
Okay.
And I don't know if, I don't know if it's a big deal, how many people, but you want me to just give it to you?
At the end of the meeting, please do.
Okay,
Yes.
I can give it to you.
Okay. Let me take it later.
Okay.
It'll be day by day. It can't be hour by hour because we don't know. No, we won't know hour by hour because of the various contingencies about time. We do have specific entries in certain attractions that will mandate us being timely. For example, we have to enter Yad Vashem at a certain time. Yad Vashem is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. Our entry is timed at 11 o'clock that morning, the Friday morning. So there we'll be by 11. And I know that because I've worked with them to fix that day a little bit. But we probably won't know the specific times. We'll see just the list of places we'll go and the flow, the daily flow.
Rabbi,
Yes.
last time we went, I think in the day, heads up for the next day.
Yes.
It's not like. It's sort of-
One of the things that we will be doing, and maybe we'll talk about that. I think we've had a number of questions that here on our agenda here. Yeah.
What was the question?
The question is to make sure that at the end of the day, that we know what the next day's sort of initial, schedule is like, so that we can all get ready and know what's happening. And the answer is yes, we're about to get into some of that, but the tour guide will make great pains to tell us, be on the bus at 8 o'clock. And we have to be on the bus ready to go at 8 o'clock. That's just how the guide will be.
Rabbi, will there be free time to slum around the old city, to meet up with friends who live there, that sort of thing?
Most of the free time will be in the evenings or late afternoon and evenings, yes.
There will be some.
Yes, and for those people who, again, we're all adults here, if we say, rather than going with you to here, I'll take a cab back to the hotel and I'm meeting up with my brother-in-law or whatever. You're absolutely welcome to do that. If you leave the tour, please make sure that someone knows that you have left the tour. That's the only thing that would be important. That's for security. Please be sure that we know that you decided not to go with us or that you decided to leave the tour at a certain time. Let's go to the cantor.
So
And then
talking about various folks who may be leaving or, having other plans during the day, is there a way that people can potentially communicate with one another digitally while we are present in Israel?
are people comfortable using, we haven't talked about mobile phones. Well, do you think people will have mobile phones? Who may not have a mobile phone with them?
My experience is we try to sign up and they never work, even when you go to Canada. So I don't have any confidence whatsoever that those phone systems work.
Okay. Yes, WhatsApp is a way to communicate with people. And if you bring your mobile phone from America, depending upon who your carrier, if you can get cell service in Israel, that's probably the best way to go. For those on US Cellular, I'm not sure that that's possible yet. You may have to rent a phone, but I recommend that you rent a phone or rent a SIM card and you get an unlocked phone. We can talk about the details of all of that offline, but it's very important that you have your mobile phone able to do this. We will establish a WhatsApp group with your phone number. And please be sure to check with your carrier to make sure that you can use your phone service in Israel. If you have to rent a phone and a SIM card in Israel, then make sure we know that number. At some point, we'll get that number. We'll include that in the WhatsApp.
Verizon has a travel pass program. I don't know if it's got Verizon.
AT&T.
And it's
Pay a certain amount extra for a month.
$10 a day if you use the phone on the day.
Right.
So that's what it costs you.
Many of the carriers have, some don't.
Right.
Some don't.
Or signals are.
I don't.
Have trouble when Israel.
I've never had trouble. Believe me, Israel's development of their cell system much farther developed than ours, believe it or not. And all Israelis had cell phones long before almost all America. Good. I think there was a question online, and I want to ask before we can. Okay. So I put into the, I'm sorry,
Educational sessions, will we have evening educational sessions preparing us for the next day, or is it done on the bus as traveling? How is that integrated?
Generally, answer your question sort of in general, and then we'll get into more specific. In general, we'll know when we start and when we finish. And on the bus, one of the reasons we have a licensed guide is so that they can take us and talk to us on the bus. The bus is a large bus. It has a great PA system, and the guide gets on the PA system and speaks to us and guides us along the way. Guides also know when not to talk because they know that sometimes people like to nap, and that's perfectly okay. And so the guide will learn our group and we will learn the guide, and we'll know how the guide will guide us. There'll be some, now let's get to talk about a day's experience.
Steps for us as we walk around, where they
So,
talk.
I don't know exactly how many times we will use that. For those of you who may not know what Steve might be referring to, they use a technology, some of us have used it, I think, in Israel, where we get a headphone and a little receiver. The guide has a transmitter, and we can wander a certain distance from the guide and look around, still hearing the guide as they are guiding us. I know that they use that at Yad Vashem at the Holocaust Memorial Museum, but I don't know where else it's helpful. But there are many places where it could be helpful. But I don't know what technology the guide is.
And Steve, I would say based on last time, during the course of the day.
On the books, they have to-
So on the bus, the amplification system works very well. There's a speaker every 3 seats, and we hear everything. The whole bus can hear everything. Yeah. There aren't separate headphones, as far as I know. That's my experience.
There'll be no napping.
Well, I think that I'm going to let Doron in because here, and I want to Carl, did you have something you wanted to ask, or Marianne?
No,
We're fine.
Okay, great. I'm going to let Doron in and just let him know where we are and let him start. He may be able to join in and chime in and answer some of the questions. So I'm going to let Doron in. I'm so glad to have him. He normally his office is in Prague, in case you are interested, but he's visiting with us in America these days. Hello, Doron. Welcome.
Shalom, shalom, and hello.
Hello.
Everyone.
How are you?
I'm lovely, thank you. A little jet lagged. It might be the middle of the night where I am, or it's the middle of the day. Where are we? But I am
Where are you? Where are you physically?
I am today in Albany, New York.
That's the main office of our travel agent. Doron, as I mentioned, a few seconds before you came on, Doron, I mentioned that your home essentially is in Prague, and that you are like a stateside these days.
Indeed, I'm an Israeli American living in Prague. What an odd thing to say.
So, Doron, I'm going to put something into the chat that you might be interested in. This is sort of our agenda for tonight. And before you begin and offer anything to us or be here for answering our questions, I'm on, if you want to take a look at what I put into the chat, we are on Roman numeral 3. We're looking at letter D. Sorry? Oh, thank you. There you go. Sorry, my mistake. So we're going to be at Roman numeral 3, B and E. We'll be pretty quick about things. But then Doron, a few folks had some questions about when the itinerary would be available to everybody. As we're working on it and we're making tweaks and such. So they'll come up a little bit later. But we wanted to say this. So what is the day's experience going to be like? So the first thing I'd like to offer, and I'm being in Israel in the early morning, very special kind of thing. Whether we are in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or up in the Galil at the hotel, at the kibbutz, the air is different, the sounds are different, the smells are different. And breakfast, we may have to be on the bus at 8 o'clock every morning, but for those people who want to take a 15 or 20-minute little stroll, we'll offer that somehow. And either the captain and I will alternate because we each deserve time a little bit to sleep late, but we'll be able to be with one another and take just a brief stroll from the hotel down the street or on the road. being careful for traffic and just getting up and seeing the world around us. So that's what that's going to be about. It'll be, I don't know what time breakfast begins. Maybe Doron has some about that, but we'll be offering this before breakfast to get back and shower and dress up and dress and, organize.
Early option.
Entirely optional. Right. We're just crazy. Breakfast will be at a posted time. Each hotel may be a little bit different. So listen carefully to know when breakfast takes place. Before we depart that day, well, we have to be in touch with our guide, who I'm sure I've heard great things about. We have to be in touch because the Kendra and I want to offer just a brief moment to focus for the day, sort of set our intention. Now, the guide is the expert guide, and we want to make sure that they have everything that they need, your attention as well. And this moment of focus allows us to bring everything together and to be with one another on that bus all together. It may involve a little music, it may involve a little, meditation, open eyes, closed eyes, it doesn't really matter, whatever one's comfort
Something
level
to
is.
set the also connected, something that we anticipate experience that day as well.
Please be on the bus when they ask us to be on the bus. Things can be very rushed in the morning. You want to take advantage of breakfast because breakfasts are plentiful and delicious. And yet we also want to be sure and be respectful of everybody's time. So be sure to be on the bus when they tell us they're on the bus. And the other issue of the day is that when we arrive at the end of the day, when our day is officially done, we wanted to arrange somewhere, this is going to be sort of on the fly, a little place where we can gather so that we can gather our thoughts. It's also totally optional. That I'm exhausted, I need to fly down. I need to take a shower. I am really messy. I'm hungry, I need some water. We'll make some arrangements, but we really want to spend just moments after every day's activities to get first impression, to allow people to sort of react, just within our group, sort of going on. Phyllis. Yes. I got it. Yes, thank you. Great.
So yeah, like that time that we'll be packing, that we had during the day, we're not, because it's entirely optional, we're not going to be that time, to like go through logistics for the next day or that, even though that may come up incidentally, we'll make sure that everybody has the information that they need day. But that time that we're referring to here, at least about processing something that we experienced that day. So I think that becomes very critical. We're going to be taking in quite a lot, and it's at least start to verbalize a little bit of how we're reacting in real time.
And then move on to letter E. This is something I've mentioned before, but I have the 5 H's of our trip. Very important. We're going to stress this over and over again. Have humor, have a sense of humor. Hydration, drink and drink and drink. Have flexibility and honor one another with patience. Things in Israel are great, but as I was sort of implying when I responded to Patricia's question a little while ago, things may not happen exactly, smoothly, because we're in Israel. We will get to see what we want to see, but whether the bus has to make a certain kind of turn and it's frustrating because he has to go back and forth, whatever, sometimes things can be as, small as that. Maybe someone hasn't shown up exactly when they commit themselves to showing up. We hope that they all do. Everything should be done for us. But we have to have patience too, because we're all of us human. And unless we have an AI creature with us on this trip. So please be sure to be patient with one another. And with that, let me turn this over to Doron. And maybe, I'm not sure if we should ask Doron questions immediately, or Doron, you have what to tell us. We're so glad that you're here. So glad that you're here. And that's where he can here in the owl. So glad you're here. And we thank you for your patience with us over the last months, getting everything together. And Doron, maybe you should begin and take a little bit of time with us, please.
Of course. So, hi, everyone. I already got a short introduction, so I don't need to explain who I am. I've spoken to a number of you, and I'm sure all of you have already spoken to Maniza from our office. Rabbi came up with these 5 H's, and I think I'm going to use them for other groups. If you're okay with me not using your trademark,
Please do, no problem.
They are lovely. I will say that the hat and the hydration, from my experience, is so important that we give you hats when you land, even if you don't bring your own. And we also have water on the bus, so you make sure to drink, because it does get hot in Israel. I'm here to answer any of your questions. There was one question that already popped up while Rabbi was speaking, of when the final itinerary will be sent. So hopefully by mid next week, we'll be sending everyone an updated itinerary, also travel tips, restaurant lists, a bunch of nice goodies. Muniza should be sending that out. But keep in mind, as Rabbi said, itineraries do change in Israel frequently. Israel is a country of Israelis, and Israelis are a little bit more, we fly off the seat of our pants kind of thing, but we try to do it as well as possible. We have many, many years of working with Israelis. I am an Israeli, so we deal with it as best as possible. But it's a lot of fun. And your guide, Kali Marks, is one of the best with many years of experience. And also, I'm sure all of you will become her best friends by the time you leave. She's one of my good friends as well. So I'm waiting to hear what you thought when you get back.
Thank you. Doron, if I may just also break in, that we also mentioned to the group, and we had a guest speaker early on in our meeting who talked a little bit about the situation, Hamatzav, that is going on, as well as the demonstration, democracy movement. But he stressed a point that I know you're going to make too, and I would make too. I've said it to some of us here, that the Ministry of Tourism checks at least once in 24 hours with the security forces and Ministry of Tourism, and checks with travel operators to make sure that all the areas that we plan to go to are good for that day.
So I'll even elaborate on that a little more. So in the past 2 weeks, when the escalation happened on the Gaza Strip, we've had over 100 people traveling around Israel. And when this started, we actually increased from our usual once 24 hours, we increased it to once in an hour. And we literally, minute by minute, day by day, have been moving our groups in different ways to make sure that there's no danger. The rule of thumb is, if I don't send my kid, well, I don't have kids. If I don't send my wife there, or if I don't send my family, I will not send you. And these things we don't even ask. We tell you this is what's happening, and and all these groups that were changed had the great time. They enjoyed Israel and they got comparable experiences. But security is number one. Your security and your health is the first thing, and then after that we go for the experience and the loving memories. That being said, we're back to normal. So once in every 24 hours, and you'll see, we'll talk to Rabbi, we'll talk to Cantor, and we'll make sure that everything goes along the course. As for the demonstrations, yes, the same situation might happen, that we might move your course a little bit, but these demonstrations are very important, as I'm sure all of you know, and God willing, it will help us get to a more complete society over in my country, or our country, actually. I think we're all part Israelis. And maybe even if you would like, you can even join in on one of the demonstrations from afar. You don't need to be the ones that are blocking the streets, but join in the right side of time. So I'm here for Q&A. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. And if you don't ask, I have the questions that everyone always asks that I can also answer, but I'm sure you have some.
Okay, so let's go to Barb and then Stu. And Barb, talk this way and look this way too.
I have a few questions. They're very mundane. The water on the bus, do we pay for each bottle of water as we get it?
It's free.
It's free. Thank you.
It's free. Just keep in mind, okay, Israelis are very loving of our water. Okay, we know years and years of not having enough of it.
Yes.
So if you take a water bottle, finish it before taking another water bottle.
Right. I'm hoping to get rid of those water bottles too by recycling. Something else I wondered is about tipping our guides. Can you mention something about that? Do we pay how that works?
Yes, of course. So on your invoices, we have already pre-charged the tips. So the tips for the guides, the drivers, the servers at the included meals, the porters, everyone has already been charged, and we make sure to get the tips around the country in the way so you don't need to deal with it. That being said, if you feel that the service is above and beyond, which I truly believe you will, you are more than welcome to give a little bit more. And I always believe, as hard as we work to get the tips out to everyone, I always believe that, that lowly porter that's taking your luggage up to your room and is knocking on your door might not get that extra shekel. So feel free to give him 5 or 10 shekels. He will be very happy, and so will you. But the tips are included, and you are by no means need to tip anything.
What about changing our money?
So changing money is a wonderful question. From my experience, depending on your credit card, the best exchange rate would be from an ATM. There's ATMs at your first hotel. There's also at the airport, where you just go and you take go to an ATM, take about $100 worth, should do you well. And then throughout the tour, other ATMs, or even some of the more touristy stores, you can pay by dollars and get back shekels as a refund, for the change. That being said, if you don't have international fees on your credit cards, pay by credit card everywhere. Israel is a very
How do you know?
You need to check with your credit card provider. But Israel
Shouldn't
has
change money in advance.
no. Do not change money in the U.S. You're going to get the worst rate possible because the shekel is very nobody uses the shekel except for Israelis. But when you get to Israel, do get some, not too much. Bring credit cards that don't have international fees, and make sure it's a Visa or a MasterCard. Okay, Amex are accepted 50/50, and Discover is not accepted anywhere. So don't bring it into the country. It's useless.
Thank you.
Touched on security briefly, so I kind of have a question that I think is sort of the white elephant in the room. If things escalated in Israel prior to our trip, who makes the decision whether we go or not, and at what point they make that decision?
So barring Jerusalem Day, which is the only thing that right now could bring an escalation, such a choice is actually made by the security forces of Israel, by the airlines, and those recommendations. We go by official recommendations of the governments. Usually, at this point, I don't see it happening. Quite honestly, knowing the history, knowing the way that things go, it does seem that there should be a good year and a half or even longer of quiet right now, God willing, of course. But should it come to be, we'll have the conversation with the congregation, and we'll update you as soon as possible. But I just don't see it happening at this point, from my experience.
Other questions, friends? Not the last opportunity to ask, obviously. Sometimes we have to learn a little bit more in order to ask a question. But Stu, maybe you have a second one.
Sure.
Talk here.
Talking about dinners on our own, when we're on our own for dinners, I assume we're going to be the list of restaurants, and directions, or I mean.
So yeah, so Muniza with the itinerary will send you also a couple links to restaurants in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
That's
probably
why
the day of, the day before. Hey, keep in mind these are good places I like. Hear me?
Oh, yeah, you froze for about 15 seconds. You were talking about the list of hotels in Jerusalem. And I even stopped.
Started to mention Muniza.
Sorry. So yeah, Muniza will send you links with restaurant recommendations, both in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And every day, Kali, your guide, will also give you recommendations for good places around. Now, if Israel is a culinary center base. I don't think I've ever eaten something not good in Israel. And I've lived there for many, many years, except for maybe my wife's cooking. Never mind. So I'm kidding. I'm the chef in my family. It's okay. So if you want the high level restaurants, okay, the chef restaurants in Israel, those would need reservations about a week to two before, maybe even 3. Keep in mind, those restaurants could be $200, $250 a person. They're very expensive, but Israel is a very expensive country. Tel Aviv is the 3rd most expensive city in the world. So keep it in mind. But if you're not looking for that level of a meal, you can go to the concierge the same day, go to Kali, she will help you. And those would be the meals.
Let's go to Patricia, then Steve, and then Phyllis.
I'm old. Having hands.
The ride service.
The what service?
It's called Get, G-E-T, I think.
Get service. Oh, okay.
Get service. G-E-T-T.
So Get, G-E-T-T is like Uber of Israel. Okay, so you can use that. If you're not arriving on the group flight, I just don't have that information in front of me. Muniza can also send you a link to what's called Welcome Pickups. It's a service that provides a transfer. You just put in your flight information, the time that you land, and the person will wait for you with a sign, Wi-Fi in the car, and water. It's a lovely service, and it's a very nice way to be welcomed in Israel. So also another option.
But Get, I think also just the question is not just necessarily when we arrive, but at any time if you want to take Lyft and Uber, but Get would be the system.
Get would be the
Lyft equivalent.
Yeah, Uber does not work in Israel because of specific licenses that you need to drive people around for monetary gain.
Got it.
So you have a taxi license.
But ask your question again, Patricia.
Yeah.
But you need the app.
You need the app.
You need the app.
It shows up in my app store on my phone right now.
And download it in the state. Can't download it.
I'm sorry, it just cuts out.
She was asking, is it possible to download it in Israel, or she understands that it's possible to only download it in the state?
No, you can download it in Israel. Yes, you can download it, connect to the Wi-Fi in the hotel and download it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Steve, same question. Phyllis.
Tel Aviv use concierge service. Does the hotel provide some help reservation for your restaurant reservations for you?
Not anymore.
Yes, the hotel can help you get reservations.
Thank you.
We're going to be coming a little bit earlier to the airport. My understanding there's some sort of a rail link between Ben Gurion Airport and Jerusalem. Can you tell me the name of it? I was just using Google and it came up with a name, but I was curious if there was anything particularly you recommend.
So it's not the rail link, it's Israel's national train line. When you leave the main door of the Ben Gurion Airport, on the left side, you're going to see the way down to the train station. Okay, it's very simple. Just yet again, I don't have your flight information next to me. Make sure you're not landing on Shabbat, because it doesn't work on Shabbat, or Friday evening. And it depends, because the trains only work during the day. So if you're landing at night, it will not work, or early in the morning. But it's a very nice service. It brings you right to the entrance of Jerusalem, and then you can take a taxi.
One other question, do you need to carry your passport continuously? Do you need it for, to get into different places or?
No, so my recommendation is to take a picture of the passport. Okay, put your passports in the safe, and then only when leaving the hotel, take the passport with you. Now, here's the very important part: when leaving the hotel, take the passports with you.
Yes.
We will make sure every morning when we leave the hotel for good, we will tell you, make sure you're safe.
Now, if we are talking about passports, one more thing that I would like to note: when you enter into Israel, you will get a small little blue slip. Okay, it's called the B2 visa. Okay, when you go into Israel, they don't stamp your passport unless if you request it. That little slip you need to keep. Okay, the guide, Kali, will ask you for those slips. That's proof that you're not Israeli. Okay, us Israelis, we have a horrible penalty that's called 17% tax, which means if you don't get that, the hotels will charge us 17% VAT, and then we will need to charge you the 17% VAT. So make sure you keep it and you give it to Kali when she asks for it. That way we are safe.
One of the things that I recommend, Doron, is that tonight, when you go home, find a paper clip or two, put it in the back page of your passport. And when you get the B2 visa slip, make sure that that's where it goes, so it stays together with your passport. The hotels may ask you for it. They want a photocopy of the visa for this very reason that Doron just mentioned. They want to not charge, we want them not to charge us $70 value added tax. So, and you want to be sure that you have, this is your visa. This gives you permission to be in the country. As you enter the country, when you enter the country, you will walk through the terminal, and before you get to what's called passport control, you'll come to a place, actually it's terribly signed. The signage is awful, but there's about 5 or 6 kiosks, and you put your passport down, face down, and they take a photograph of you. They want to match your photograph by software to your photograph on your passport. Then it gives you this little ticket. That's how you get those. Am I right, Doron? Is that right?
You are 100% correct.
Okay.
And do we leave those with our passport?
That's a good question. Do we leave, do the visas have to stay with the passport? Should they stay in the passport in the States? My understanding is you should keep the visa with your passport.
Yeah, it's only needed for the hotels. It's just proof that you're not Israeli, pretty much.
Right, that's how you get a paper clip, to make sure they stay together.
If you want to be extra safe, when you get that little thing, take your phone, make it your first picture in Israel, and that way you're 100% safe. If we are talking about pictures of things that you should have when coming to Israel, so I'll give you a couple other things, because I like connecting things and I know you're not going to ask the questions. So one, even though the COVID restriction and all of that are going down, do photograph whatever COVID vaccination things you have. I haven't used it in the past 6 months, but I don't want to know that I need it at some point. So take a picture of that. Second thing is prescriptions. Okay, if you have prescription medication, make sure that you have a photo of it. Okay, if you're taking your pills and you're putting in like to one of those pill containers, make sure that you have a picture of it. A couple reasons. One, if you lose the pills for any reason and we need to get you a new prescription, if we have your old prescription, we can go to an Israeli doctor that will write it for you and we can get something that's similar. If not, it takes a lot of time to get a doctor to understand what you need to get. Secondly, if you have a prescription of something that's not in Israel, sometimes customs could see it and they need to relate it to you to make sure that it's actually legal. So make sure that you have that. If we're talking about medication, because it's a good question. First of all, not in your checked luggage. Medication goes into your hand luggage. Okay, the reason is airlines sometimes lose your luggage. It won't happen to anyone on this trip, I know, but make sure that it's in your hand luggage. Secondly, make sure to bring at least 10 more days of medication from what you're traveling. You never know if you're going to be in Israel a little bit longer. If something happens, just make sure that you have a little bit extra. It's always stressful to find the right medication in a different country, even though Israel is a modern country with almost everything that is in the US. Actually, a lot of the medication that's given in the US is made by Teva, an Israeli company, but make sure that you have enough. Enough about medication, I think. Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about photographing
Yeah,
things just to
pictures.
make sure that you have your list of, because I would add one after you're done, Doro.
Please
If
do.
Yeah, I would suggest take a picture of your suitcase. As Doron says,
Oh.
your suitcases will not go missing. If in the off chance that you need to identify it somehow, you have a photograph of what your suitcase looks like. Mine is unique color, but I still will take a photograph of it because I think it's good to have, but I don't know, that's my mishugas. Hold on just a second.
Tracking tags for spaces?
Tracking tags for suitcases. I don't know, I don't use them. I don't know the benefit of them or the
The air
non-benefit.
tags. The air
Sounds
tag.
like it. Yeah,
Lufthansa has outlawed them. By the way, so.
Lufthansa.
We're on forward.
Thanks.
But if we are talking about luggage, we did send everyone packets. I think they should be in the mail to you right now or on the way to you. Please-
Most of us have received them.
Good. Please do mark your luggage with our luggage tags for a couple of reasons. First of all, wonderful marketing for us. Just great. Second of all, it helps us locate you. Okay, locate you and locate the luggage. They're very bright colors. Okay, and I can't tell you the amount of times that a porter has put one of our pieces of luggage on the other side of the lobby. And when I was about to leave the hotel and I saw that luggage tag and I understood that's my piece of luggage and I got it on the bus. Okay, so it's very important for those two reasons. Of course, the first one more than the second. Marketing is number one.
When were they sent?
What?
When were they sent out? I don't.
So a lot of them were sent out last week. It could be that we're missing some piece of information from you, flight information, passports, passenger agreement. And that could be why yours was not sent.
No. You have all that.
No. If Muniza hasn't contacted you in the past 2-3 days, it means that it's in the mail.
Can you tell us about electricity and what kind of outlets Israel has?
You know, usually when I do these in Europe, I just take my computer charger and I do this, but I'm not here. Wait, let's see. It has the Type-C outlet. Okay, it's the same one in Europe. It's the same one in Hong Kong. It's almost in the whole world except for the US. Hey, look, isn't that perfect? So this is
Okay.
the converter you need. 2 prongs circular. Okay, it costs 4 of these cost $6 on Amazon. 4 for $6. If you see one that costs $20-$30 for one, don't buy it. It's a complete waste of money. Unless if you're bringing a very, very expensive piece of electrical equipment that gets, that will be hurt by the different voltage. But all modern computers and all modern cell phones have voltage protectors. So this is all you need.
What's the voltage on that one?
220.
So what happens is that for those people who have most modern day, what do you have? You have a phone charger, you have a laptop computer, you have
Kindle charger.
a Kindle charger. All of those chargers can take between 110 volts and 220, 240 volts. And all you need, what Doron just showed you is called an adapter. There's nothing about that adapter that has anything, there's no electronic circuitry in that other than that what connects size, adapter plugs, the sockets of Israel to the plugs that you have. I would only say that the adapters that they use in Germany are similar in appearance, but they're actually thicker. Make sure that when you buy adapters, that they're for the Middle East. He says Type-C.
But I think if you
Type-C.
heating pad, you need to know that it can take anywhere from 110 to 220.
If you have a device that creates a lot, that takes a lot of wattage,
right,
then you probably should get a special transformer for that piece of equipment. I don't
What
know.
about a hair dryer?
So all the hotels have hair dryers in the bathroom, so you don't need to bring one with you. Should you want to bring one, most of them also have the protectors within their cable at this point. So you can, but I really, don't waste your spot in the luggage on the a hair dryer. I did once. And look,
We're gonna go around to ask brief questions, and I saw some other hands over here. Patricia?
When,
What are you looking?
I'm gonna need you to say, Rabbi, I'm gonna
She
need
asked-
you to say that
she
again,
asked-
because it's in a dead region from the microphone.
Yeah, she said she doesn't have her prescriptions, I guess,
It's on the bottle.
Oh,
It's on the
yeah.
bottle.
they're on
Take
the
a
bottle.
picture
Take
of
a
the bottle.
photograph of the bottle. Yes.
That was
Yes.
essentially her question, if she could take a picture of the bottle. Yes.
Yes, take the
Upload
bottle.
From your electronic record, you have your list of medications, is that adequate?
If you have anywhere that you have an electronic record of what you have, that should be sufficient. Yes.
And I would suggest everybody about a week before you go and download the, my trip, whatever, anyone that goes to W or uses SSM, where do you doc? Yeah, so at the end of your visit, don't they give you an after visit summary?
Oh, I didn't
That
know
has-
what that was.
That has all your medications on it, it's got all of your health.
Yeah.
Put it in your. Yes, at the doctor on it.
Yeah, so let's keep going around. Barbara?
Rest. That we would be referred to. The drinking, can you
How-
hear me okay?
How safe is the drinking water in hotels and restaurants?
So when I'm in Israel, I drink only tap water. Okay,
Ah,
except for the bottles on the bus. But I was born in Israel. Okay, I say when you're traveling in a country that you're not acquainted to, it's always safer to drink bottled water than the tap water, even if the tap water is clean and is safe. So I usually recommend to go for bottled water anyways. But yes, I drink tap water, and all my friends drink only tap water in Israel.
Going around. Yes, Phyllis.
Yeah, I had a Tel Aviv, a hotel is on the beach. So out in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and walk on the stand, just walk out of the hotel and there.
Can you hear Doron?
No.
She said if we're on the beach at 5, in the hotel in Tel Aviv, it's on the beach. Can we just go out at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, just walk on the sand or walk on the Tayelet, which is like a big bike trail walkway? Can we do that?
I mean, oh, at the beach.
Of course, first of all, you can, it's safe, and secondly, if you don't, you're missing out. I don't like Tel Aviv. I'm a Jerusalemite. I'm proud of not liking Tel Aviv. It's part of the internal feud of the cities, and yet every time I go to Tel Aviv, I do that.
Two things. One, on your credit card, call the credit card company and tell them the dates you're going to be gone and where you're going to go. For instance, you might say, I'm going to be in Chicago, in Warsaw, and in Israel, and give them the dates. Otherwise, they might freeze your account, and then you've got to deal internationally. But second, the other question I have is laundry. I don't want to take big suitcases. How easy is it to get laundry done when we're in the major places where we're multiple nights?
So all the hotels have laundry service. It's a little bit expensive, but it is possible. There are also laundromats within walking distance from the hotels. I usually recommend to bring enough clothes to not use a laundry service. Usually because you're going to be in Israel when's the next time you're going to be in Israel? You spend a lot of money to go there. You don't want to waste your time doing laundry. But should you want, there are services, and Kali, your guide, can of course help you. I'm going to keep on saying that because in the end, you're going to notice she's like your mom in Israel.
Right.
Can you please just spell her name? You've been saying her name, our guide's name, but could
Dari.
Carrie.
Carrie. Oh yes, Carrie. That would be the American version.
Yeah, and what American was with.
And her last name is Weiss, that's correct? The last name is Weiss, am I remembering correctly?
Marks
Marks, Harry Marks,
Marks.
yes.
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 And Hebrew, and her full name is Kalmit, by the way.
Oh.
It means vineyard,
Finger?
and she does like wine. So there you go.
The last time we went, we did our laundry kind of in the sink in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And there's little packets that Lori knows about them she's gonna bring. We're planning to pack just carry on. You know, couple pair of pants, couple shirts, recycle them each time. Tried this out for our most recent trip and it worked. So are we taking it now?
Hotels, the hotels in Israel, many have a clothesline.
Yes.
It's retractable. Going around the circle and going around the circle online. People who online have other questions. Yes, Lynn, go ahead.
On the list of things to bring that was sent out, it said to bring $1 bills. And I was just wondering what that was for. Oops. So I've been saving my ones, but I don't know why.
It's for tipping the porters or the chambermaids. Those people that sometimes the institutionalized tips don't get to, I would say.
And that's okay to tip in US dollars rather than Israeli shekels.
If you're getting free money, you'll take it in any currency, you'll get it.
Understood. Perfect.
Just gonna mention is that when you're taking photographs of things, is I've been told to take a photograph of your credit cards, front and back. So if you have to call the credit card, if you're missing it.
Other questions, other concerns? Yes, Phyllis.
Are we having a second?
So I don't know if we will or not. We have to find the right time to do it. I know we all want to get to know one another informally.
What was the question?
If you're gonna do another Zoom meeting.
Second time, it's the traveling. And if we are, we're gonna be gone in June.
Okay,
I have one day back and then I'm leaving.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if just.
okay. Yeah. People together again.
Yeah.
Schmooze. We can do that.
Because we can try to coordinate, I don't know, because I'm out of town for part of next week. I don't know, and if I don't know if they'll be able to guarantee that we'll have all of the same people together again during that meeting, but we can certainly try to set something up that will work for most of the cohort.
We'll call it at a time when like at least the cantor and or I would be available. But if it doesn't work out, then hopefully we'll get enough people here either and online and in person.
What
And-
date are you thinking or what
We
don't
haven't
have any date on the books
don't
yet.
have a date yet.
So I feel a lot better about the trip after this get together. And if you schedule another one, then we're available to come, but I don't feel that.
Okay.
We all.
Let me go the other direction. Chuck.
A question on clothing. Do we need anything more formal than what we're wearing? Dress clothes, for instance.
So Israel is probably the least formal country you could go to. If you bring a tie, you'll be laughed. If you bring a jacket, it's going to be very awkward. Button-down shirts is perfect for Shabbat. Polo is also okay, but button-down is probably the better. But button-down and khakis is the most formal you should go as a man. Women, modest women. I know the second question that comes up with that is modesty. So the rule of thumb for both men and women is have your knees and shoulders covered. Okay, knees and shoulders covered in any holy place, which means when you're going through the old cities, when you're going into a church or into a synagogue, knees and shoulders covered. Skirts are not mandatory. You can, should you wish, but you do not have to. Yet again, men or women. And that's about it, but no need for formal dress, no.
Let's go around this way. Hold on, we'll come back.
Yeah. Can we get documentation of the insurance that we have? There's
Yeah.
there was something in your handout that said that you needed for your medical documentation as you go through customs.
Now, those of you who have purchased the group travel insurance through us, which is actually through TravelX, about 2 to 3 weeks before departure, you'll be receiving an email from TravelX with your policy. Okay, you can either save it on your phone or print it out. It could be that they'll request it from you on check-in, because technically, Israel still requires travel insurance, not travel, medical insurance to enter Israel. That being said, I think that we've had over 1,000 people travel since the COVID regulations have come down, and only 2 people have actually been checked. So it's your decision, but do have it ready just in case.
Sue, you had your hand up, I thought.
I did. Oh, are they necessary and stands for the wall or anything for men? Head covering? Head
Are head
covering?
coverings required for
No,
men in various places?
head covers are required for men, not for women. Should you choose, you're welcome to put a head covering on, but you do not need to.
But a hat, same as a kippah.
Yes,
It's not a matter of what is on your head, it's that there is something on your head.
Oh,
Yes, a hat would work fine. Any hat.
especially if it's an Ayad hat.
Knees covered when going to holy place.
For women, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Right.
By the
All
way,
right.
interesting enough, when you go into the churches, you should remove the hat.
True. Two, another question.
yes, you had talked about bringing a day pack for us to carry, like suntan lotion and healing us, or water bottle or whatever. What about like a fanny pack? We do have our passports with us on the days when we're traveling between places. With us, what's the safe place? Carrying?
So, Doron, you want to answer? Did you hear the question?
I heard it words to words, but I think it was talking about where's a safe place to put the passports during a day that you're going between cities.
Yes.
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 Okay, so yes, you can put it in a backpack that's with you all day. The second option is on the bus. Our bus is our bus from beginning to end, and our bus driver locks the bus every time you get off of it. So nobody should be getting on the bus without you when you guys aren't on the bus itself. But I usually, my trick, okay, and you can choose should you want to, is I put my passports in my big luggage that goes under the bus, because nobody's going to touch it.
Other questions? We might be winding down.
Understanding too, certainly if there's something else after today, you reach out to one of us with that question or to
Doron, Lunita.
Yes.
But this has been a wonderful conversation, friends, about some of the logistics,
Yeah.
but also some of the other just meaning making.
Two other things before too many folks leave. If you are traveling out of O'Hare, please give yourself adequate time, get to the airport and check in. International flights require like a 3-hour check-in. I know that some people are say 2 hours is fine.
Not in
If-
O'Hare.
Pardon me? Not in O'Hare.
in O'Hare.
Not in O'Hare. But we are leaving, there is a 10 o'clock bus, for example, that I will probably be on, of the Von Gelder bus that leaves downtown at 10 o'clock, and it leaves the Dutch Mill Park and Ride at 10:20. It gets you into O'Hare at about 1:15. And then when we get to O'Hare, the buses now go to a central parking facility, where then we go from the bus to a tram, and the tram takes us to the terminals.
Oh,
So it's new. So I'm going to be on that 10 o'clock bus.
So it's unclear whether it'll take more time or less time than how it worked previously, because it's taking you to that other location, but it's also then the tram is then taking you directly to various terminals.
It should be efficient. Into Newark Airport, you know how that air tram works. That's pretty quick. Doesn't seem like it when you're waiting for it, but it is actually pretty quick.
Rabbi, what street are you picking the bus up
The
on?
connection that you're gonna take, are you gonna send that out?
Hold on, I got 2 questions at once. Let me Steve, hold on. I'm going to be probably dropped off downtown. And I say that because I want to
Where
be.
is the bus downtown now? They've moved it.
Yes, it's on Lake Street. You can get the address when you go into the Van Gelder website.
Right, okay,
It's on Lake Street. If you're at the bus stop and you look south, you're looking at Cole Center.
okay,
Because Lake Street is a north-south street. You
right.
look out, you're looking at the Cole Center and
So
the
it's by
route
the
trip.
dorms.
I don't know because I don't know the
Okay.
campus at all.
Okay,
But the address is there. And the round trip ticket's about $62. The one-way ticket is $35 approximately. We can
should
send
we
out.
buy that in advance?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will likely be taking the same bus to O'Hare as well. So you may run, if you take that bus, you may run into,
Please join us.
yeah.
Do you think we'll be driving there, leaving?
So the answer is, I don't know specifically, although Van Gelder does serve Rockford and Beloit and Janesville. So
It's $62. 240.
so it's a 10 a.m. departure from the university. So, don't let that go. If you have a better time schedule, take the better time schedule. Don't necessarily look for us. And when you go online, you put in your departure place and your destination place, and it tells you those schedules. So it'll do that. And I imagine from Janesville or Beloit, the fare is different than what it is. I don't know if you can reserve specific times. I'm buying a round trip ticket, and I know that there is out of O'Hare, so we land about 4 to 8 in the evening. I know that there is a 9:45 departure and an 11:45 p.m. departure.
Have you ever been on?
I've been on them when I've never been on them when people have been denied entry. It's been somewhat full. No one has ever been denied entry as far as I know. That I've seen.
Bus before.
they want you to reserve.
Yeah.
Carl, question?
No, I was just saying that we're just talking that Van Gelder prefers that you reserve specific bus times.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. I would also offer this, since we are still living in a time of COVID, I would want to humbly encourage you, between now and our departure, wear masks. If you anticipate being in a crowded environment, you don't want to come down with COVID before departure. And if you have insurance, that's one thing, but you want to go. We want to be sure that you go. So if you plan to be, unless you wear masks regularly, be especially careful between now and the time we depart. You may want to bring some masks with you. I can tell you my personal practice is that I will wear a mask throughout the whole flight unless I'm eating. That's just my personal practice. I can also tell you, having looked at the seating chart of our plane, for example, from Chicago to Warsaw, we are all sitting in the first half of coach. Most of coach behind us at today, or last week when I looked, was not so. So we're looking at a half-filled plane at this moment. That will change, but it could still be very crowded. So again, I encourage you to wear masks when we're going to be in crowded environments, because we don't want anybody to get COVID, which will affect your having a good
Ability to
time.
take part on the trip.
Right,
And everybody who, they don't know they're infected.
right.
I will add on to that, just as a precaution.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. If you can, we always recommend to do an at-home test before getting on the plane, just so we reduce the chance of that patient zero coming on the tour with you. So please do an at-home test just to take care of everyone on the group, and it helps reduce the chance of any COVID going with it throughout.
It's interesting. Thank you, Doron. We have a couple of physicians who are traveling with us too. So they are like, Steve is nodding his head. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Right? And if you can get the next vaccine, I took it a week ago. Please get the sixth dose, if you can.
So, yeah, we would encourage everybody to be, like up to date on your vaccination to the extent that you're eligible.
Right. Sorry. Sorry. Sue,
So I don't know, John's probably familiar with Polish Airlines, which is the flight we're doing, although it's not. In
Have you
terms
even
of.
flown that flight to Chicago?
me?
Have you even flown from Warsaw to Chicago? It's a very nice 787 plane. It's very modern.
What
Great,
is it?
it's a 787 Dreamliner.
Dreamliner, yeah, which is brilliant. But my question is about luggage, because I don't know, last time we went to Israel, we took a big suitcase that got shipped through. But, with the layover and everything, this time it's nice not to do that, but I don't know what the parameters are for size for carry-on.
So I don't remember off the top of my head. Usually the lot from my experience is very lenient. Isn't that problematic? I'm quite sure the plane will be full. I'm sad to say, because it is a very full leg. But what you can do is you can write in Google lot luggage parameters, and it's very simple to find it that way. It's pretty much the same as United, American, Delta. They don't have anything special.
So we can have both a bag within the
Yeah.
parameters plus a personal.
Yeah, you can have a personal item plus a carry-on. Yes.
And one suitcase is included in our fare, an international flight. So we can, again, according to the dimension, you can check the suitcase if you want to. Barb?
I don't have a question.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is a question that Rabbi and I were talking about a little bit earlier. I have not traveled internationally with a guitar before. I've traveled domestically, and it always gives me heart palpitations. When I was in Israel, I did not bring my guitar with me. I happened to be able to purchase an expensive one when I was there, that had been left by a former student at HUC. And then I left it for somebody else who was going to be coming, and they bought it from me. So like, it worked out very, very well. I do not know if I will be able to similar, so obviously not quite the here where I can perhaps, purchase an inexpensive instrument there and kind of like sell it off and have too much loss.
I can get you a guitar.
Oh, how about that? I had not yet inquired. It was on my to-do list to reach out to one of you to ask. So fortuitous.
Let me. Acoustic, right?
Yes. And I don't care too much about the quality either. Like
Even if you did, I wouldn't know what it is. I'm a drummer.
yeah,
not a
as long as
guitarist.
it stays in tune, we're good. Even that's a
If it has
little bit.
strings. I think it's a guitar.
There we go.
So I think,
Preferably 6.
so we hope that we can make something like that happen. That would, as I were having a discussion about that earlier today. Maybe that's a possibility. No guarantees yet. We have to, but thank you, Doron. That would be very nice. Sue,
That's the PSA locks for our the hotel room. Suggested that in the day when you're out and about. Like, close up the. They said apparently back then they liked American Levi's, people in Israel. I don't know, but so we just locked up our suitcase every night.
so what the question would be,
Do you feel like that's necessary?
do we feel that it's necessary to use something like a lock on your suitcase or a TSA lock, some kind of security thing on your suitcase when we're not in the room?
That's a very personal decision. I do not put anything. I leave my suitcases as it is. If there's anything of higher value that I see what, like, nobody's gonna take my underwear or my socks. But if I have a passport or of course my lovely jewelry, I would put it in the safe. Everything else I leave as is. Should you want, of course, you can leave in, you can lock your luggage. I've never had a complaint about something been taken from the luggage. You have to remember the people who clean the rooms, they need to get about 10 to 11 rooms to clean in an hour. They don't have time to go through the luggage.
Yeah. Do the rooms, will our rooms actually have safes, or would you talk about a safe, have the safe down at the lobby?
No. All the rooms have a personal safe.
Have safe, okay.
Okay, other questions from anyone else online? Because I think we're probably toward the end of our time. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Doron, for being with us. We really appreciate it. Okay.
Should you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Moniza or to both of us. And we're here until you go to Israel and while you're in Israel and when you come back. So feel free to talk to us.
Do we have your email address, Doron?
Yeah, of course.
We have it's Doron@ayelet.com.
Yeah, we made it easy, even though sometimes I regret it.
Doron, DORON @ayelet.com.
So, folks, before you leave, remember that we do have books with you, one per house. So those of you who are physically present, please come over. They all have a name on them, actually.
And for those who are in town, please, we'll have to work out some way to get you your books. And for those who aren't in town, we'll bring you your books to Israel somehow. We'll get them to you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Be well all.
Don't ever have a little lunch.
Thank you.
Thank
What
you.
books? I missed that part.
So every household is getting a copy of this book. Hold on. Every household is getting a copy of this book. Oh,
What was the book?
there's too much noise in the room because it's taking the there you go. Oh,
Okay,
anyway,
I'm gonna stop moving. Sorry, everybody's moving and it's picking up the motion sensor on the camera.
anyway, Kate,
Could
there's
you
a-
just read the title?
Yes, it's called Israel, a Spiritual Travel Guide.
A companion for the modern Jewish pilgrim is done.
Right here, it's on the screen.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Got it.
okay.
It's a lovely book.
Lovely book. Yeah.
We all get one?
Every household gets one. Our gift.
So Phyllis and I are sharing a room? Are we a
No,
household?
that doesn't matter. You and Phyllis, let's get a separate one.
Okay,
I can take your book.
thank you, Phyllis. She can take,
Want me to take your book?
yes, please.
Hi, everyone.
I thank you so much.
Hi, Kate. Kate, any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah. Call me any questions.
Thank you. Bye.